I'll start by briefing you a bit about what exactly growth hacking is all about. Why is it critical for startups? Then I will spend some time on few basics and frameworks of digital marketing. And then towards the end, I'll give you 3 examples of best practices or growth hacks across the digital channels. I would not go much into technical depth given the paucity of time. And in the last 15 minutes, I'll be addressing some of your queries. So let's get started with the topic for today. So this is a brief introduction about me. So as Dr. Dhara mentioned that I'm currently acting as the Vice President of Growth at Square Yards, which is a fast growing PropTech startup, and it's a profitable PropTech startup. Prior to joining Square Yards, I was heading the growth vertical at housing.com and fastfox.com. I was a core founding member at fastfox.com, which is a home rental tech startup, which was acquired at a valuation of about 1 billion last year. And I have a keen interest in politics and do intend to bring about a digital revolution in politics someday. During the 2019 general elections, I had led the campaign in my home state and was also a key political advisor to a union minister. So my other corporate engagements include working with Tata Technologies, ICICI Bank, and Daikin. So that was a brief about me. So now moving on to the first topic of the day, what is growth hacking about? Well, there are a lot of ways to define growth hacking. My way to define growth hacking is accomplishing any task effectively in a quick time span, taking the shortest route. So growth hacks are some of the best practices and techniques across different mediums and channels for successfully accomplishing any task you undertake. And you have to remember that growth hacks are something which you might not find any books or any courses, but they are the result of continuous experimentations and pilots. Now coming to who are the various stakeholders of growth hacking process. Well, they can be the startup founders and cross-functional teams. As often during the growth hacking process, you are expected to work with multiple teams of different functions. So this is a brief about what growth hacking is exactly. So now that we know what is growth hacking all about, I will discuss in this slide why growth hacking needs to be integrated as a part of the startup DNA. Well, the answer is simple. In the cutthroat competitive market that we are in today with lots of new startups springing up in every industry, it is imperative that you achieve exponential growth to stand apart from the crowd and march ahead. Right. So growth hacking is also necessary to set the playbook for successfully achieving any specific task or to solve any problem. You can then delegate it to people so that it can be replicated within the organization. Delegation of the playbook is necessary so that you can move ahead onto the next problem which requires immediate attention in the organization. It ensures you are not stuck with a particular problem once you have figured out the best solution or way to achieve. So now coming to the next point, you have to remember that by growth hacking, you can solve problems across multiple domains and functions. It can be product, operations, marketing, etc. The problems are not limited or pertaining to any specific domain. The scope is quite broad and intense. So not only in startups, but even in bigger organizations need to have a growth team in place to ensure that the wheel of innovation keeps turning. Often the problem when the organizations grow big is that it gets so engrossed in managing existing business that tend to ignore about the future. This risks the problem of getting obsolete if you do not keep pace with time. So that is why growth hacking is not only necessary in startups, but also in bigger organizations as well, so that the wheel of innovation keeps turning. And it is all the more imperative for startups to have a growth hacking process in place. So now that we are aware about what growth hacking is and why is it essential for startups, the next topic that I am going to talk about is about the attributes that are required to be a growth hacker. So if you are seeking to be a growth hacker, these are some of the attributes that you must possess to be one. So the first and foremost ability that one must possess in is keen observation skills. Unless you spot the problem firsthand, you won't be able to move ahead in the growth hacking process. For spotting the problem, along with keen observation skills, you should be also good with numbers. Data in itself speaks volumes about the underlying problem. So remember, data-driven analytic approach is the best approach that one can take towards solving any problem. So once you have spotted the problem, then out of the box thinking is required to come out with an innovative solution. Sticking to traditional approaches might not bring you much success over here. So next point is, apart from attitude, you need to also develop skill sets and have a good amount of working knowledge across multiple functions like product, marketing, operations. So you are not expecting, nobody is expecting you to be experts in these domains, but you need to have a thorough knowledge about the concepts and have a sound technical background knowledge as well for all these domains. You should also have a keen appetite to learn with a constant need to upgrade and upskill yourselves. Well, there are a lot of avenues to grasp knowledge like Google, YouTube, there are free courses on Coursera, there are books out there. So there are a lot of avenues to grasp knowledge. Hunger to learn and grow is of paramount importance here. Apart from that, as you will be often working with teams across multiple functions, you need to be a good team player and also inculcate the ability of patience and persistence. A few times you won't be getting the desired result as you may be expecting. So it is key here not to give up and keep trying, as the best solution might be somewhere around the corner. Need to be persistent. So these are some of the attributes that you need to inculcate in yourself to be a growth hacker if you are seeking to be one. So now, so in this slide, I would like to highlight the key organizational virtue that forms the foundation for building up a successful organization from scratch. Well, the competitive market that we are in today, with lot of high potential startups blooming up, it has become really imperative for businesses to be on their toes. Either you live up to the pressure, innovate and stay competitive, or you perish. So this is not restricted to businesses alone, but also valid for employees looking to fast track their growth curve. Make sure when you are starting up, you have the right mix of such dynamic go-getter set of employees with a couple of experienced leaders to mentor and guide them. So as they say, early bird catches the prey. Is a similar situation in startup world as well. Here the prey is typically a funding or incubation. So survival of the fittest rule applies here as well. So unless and until you react and respond by building up a reactive organizational culture, you are going to miss the bus. So once you have a reactive culture in the organizational core DNA, it flows within the organization. And this will ensure there are no bottlenecks created due to laggardness of any specific individual with respect to execution of tasks. Slow responsive attitude can quite easily disseminate in the entire organization, leading it to drag along at a snail pace. So if every employee possesses their DNA which says moment is now and there is no tomorrow, then there is nothing stopping the organization or the employee from the fast track growth path that you are seeking. So I'll now like to cite a few examples how reactive culture can be imbibed in the core DNA of a startup. So the first example is by being responsive to official communications. So being in a fast-paced startup, you are expected to be responsive to official emails and WhatsApps. This will ensure that there are no bottlenecks created in the tasks. You have to realize that someone else's work might be linked to you, so better not to delay them. Well, the next example is about value-added features or services. In today's world, the thing that really matters is what value is your product adding in the customer's life. Everything else other than this is simply garbage. To avoid wasted efforts in the wrong direction. So many organizations carry on experiments involving MVP. So what is MVP? MVP is a minimum viable product with limited feature sets. So once you have an MVP in place, listen to what customers have to say, take their feedback and respond accordingly. Before you launch a full-scale big product, you have to pass through the stage of MVP and gather the feedback from it. So working in small batches in the product life cycle, choosing agile development process are a few other things that organizations turn to in order to keep pace with the evolving customer needs. So responsiveness also needs to flow from top to bottom in the organizations. It should be the responsibility of the leaders to set examples for others to follow. Discussions and long meetings are important to chalk out the plans, but the owners should be equally on execution. The leader's role uh, does not end by setting up a 30-feet plan. They need to also take stock of the execution process with the same degree of enthusiasm as while chalking out the initial plans. How fast you respond to signals, theoretical discussions, and execute plans effectively on the ground is what scripts the success stories of startups. I hope the reactive organizational culture is now clear with everyone that what I mean by the organizations having a reactive organizational culture. So with that, I'll just move on to the next slide. Uh, so once you have taken all the efforts to get a superior product ready with an excellent value proposition, the next step is to communicate the offering and bring it to the attention of the masses, some of whom can be your potential customers. And all this can effectively be done via digital means. Because in digital means, there are no boundaries or there are no barriers to entry. So by applying a bit of growth hacking in digital means, you can really scale up your startup at a fast track growth pace. So the beauty of digital medium is like you sitting in Ahmedabad, today you can market your product in US. So that's the beauty about digital medium. So in this slide, I want to draw your attention towards a very essential framework which forms the base of all your digital efforts. The R funnel framework, whose components are acquisition, activation, retention, referral, and revenue. Well, the first stage of the funnel is acquisitions. Acquisitions are the set of users whom you have acquired through marketing campaigns or organic means. We'll discuss in detail about it in the subsequent slide. The next stage of the funnel is activation. These are the set of users who have completed the registration stage, which is basically typically the OTP submission, user details, form filling, all this process, all the steps they have completed. And efforts should be made to minimize the drop from acquisition to activation stage. If there is a significant drop here, then the possible reasons need to be ascertained and corrective measures need to be taken. So next in the funnel is retention. These are the set of users who are actively engaged with your product over a period of time. This is the most important number or metric that any startup founder or marketer should actively track. As I believe, it is easy to get an user to your product for the first time, but it is 10 times tougher to retain him. So many founders make the mistake to be elated by short-term joy by tracking the acquisition numbers and ignoring the fact that it's a leaky bucket and the retention numbers are actually dwindling. The numbers can be tracked by metrics like weekly cohort and MAU, which stands for monthly active users. So I will just explain in detail about cohorts and MAU in the next slide. So next comes in the funnel, the referrals, which are your valuable users with high customer satisfaction index from among the set of engaged users. They are the source of growing your customer acquisitions organically by inviting their friends and acquaintances. This is particularly important to keep your cost per acquisitions under check. And the bottom of the funnel is revenue, which consists the most valuable set of users who are willing to pay you for your product or services. Every effort should be taken to ensure that the customer satisfaction for this set of users is at the zenith. So now that we are aware about the digital framework, we'll briefly discuss in this slide about digital acquisition strategy framework. So, well, every startup needs to have an optimized digital acquisition strategy in place if they want to scale up first. First and foremost thing when it comes to have a digital acquisition strategy is identifying your target segment. So who your potential customer is, what are their demographics, where all you can find them, what are their daily habits, which all places do they visit. All these questions needs to be taken into account while identifying your target segment. So target segment can vary from businesses to businesses. These are the set of people with whom your product resonates with the most. So once you have successfully identified the target segment, the next step is to explore various marketing channels like Facebook, Google, SMS, email, LinkedIn, etc. So you have to remember there is no one size that fits all here. You have to constantly keep experimenting and running pilots until you arrive at the right marketing channel mix, which provides you the optimal output you are seeking. Well, not only the marketing channels, but you need to keep experimenting with several other aspects like landing page, CTA, which is basically the call to action button. All this can have an impact on your overall output. One point that you have to religiously ensure about is tracking source and medium of every acquisition that you get. Without proper tracking parameters, the entire exercise of digital acquisitions is a futile exercise, as you'll never get to know which channels are getting the best results for you. So now that you have all the tracking parameters in place and you are able to track all your acquisitions, so next step is to evaluate the marketing channel wise cost per acquisitions. So this will give you an idea which channels are working the best for you and which are not. You need to double down on the channels that are working the best for you and also get rid of the ones which are not. So you have to optimize on your best performing channels. And this is essentially the digital acquisition basic framework that every startup should have in place while they are launching their product. So the next topic that we are going to cover in this session is having a digital engagement strategy in place. So like I have said previously in the earlier slide, engagement is more critical than acquisitions. You don't want your product to be a leaky bucket, but want to retain the users whom you have acquired by marketing campaigns. Your engagement strategy should essentially take care of the 3 R's of our framework, which is essentially the retention, referral, and revenue. You need to try out and experiment with a few product-based features to hook your customers. Also, you need to run a few pilot marketing campaigns and check their efficacy in terms of engaging your customers. You have to also remember that all these experiments need to be targeted at your customers only and not at someone who is out of the customer set, because this is the engagement we are talking about and not acquisitions. So some of the practical ways to engage your customers can be by providing them with some valuable information which might be relevant for them. Infographics can also be a good way to disseminate useful information. You can also create polls and take opinions from your customers from time to time. Sending notifications to an individual when any of their friends does any activity on your product can be a good way as well to engage your customers. So apart from your customer set and non-customer set, there is a third set of people whom you can target differently. So these are the set of people who have visited your product but didn't take any specific action in it or didn't buy your product. So remarketing is a very useful technique by which you can target this set of people. Often you must have seen after you visit a site, you keep on seeing its ad on the web wherever you go. So these are the remarketing ads which you can run through Google AdWords. You are being targeted if you see an ad after you visit a particular website and didn't buy or purchase their product, you will be seeing their ads all over the web. So this is basically you are being targeted by the remarketing ads. So remarketing is also a useful component of the digital engagement strategy. There are 2 very important metrics that you need to track for optimizing your engagement and retention rates. So these are essentially cohorts and monthly active users. Cohorts will give you an exact picture regarding the retention rate of the users that you acquire week on week or your returning set of users. So you can see in this example that is on the right hand side of the slide. Week 0 is the week in which you have acquired the users for the first time. And week 1, 2, 3 are the retention rates of this set of users in the subsequent weeks. In this example, out of the set of users which were acquired in the week April 5th to 11th, only you can see only 6.8% of the users used the product again or came back to the website for using the product in the subsequent week, and likewise. So it is a very important metric that you have to track when it comes to digital engagement strategy. So you can explore more about it over Google and find out more about cohorts and how can you track them. So coming to the next metric, MAU or monthly active users, it gives you an idea about the number of customers or users who are using your product in a particular month. For achieving exponential growth, you need to track this number month on month. This number needs to have exponentially upward trajectory. Also, you have to keep in mind to keep your valuable set of customers who are paying you. You can delight this set of users by different engagement means. It can be by sending them birthday, anniversary cards, wishes, providing them with special offers at different intervals of time, and stuff like that. So you have to delight this set of users who are paying you and take special care of them. So now coming to the next topic, which is SEO, search engine optimization, which forms an important pillar of digital marketing for drawing organic traffic. Many a times, startups do not focus much into it while starting up. But after they cross a certain threshold, SEO does become an important aspect, primarily to keep the cost per acquisitions or CPA under check. The user acquisitions that you manage to get organically are completely free. So that makes SEO a very important component of the digital strategy. SEO primarily contains two major components, which are content and backlinks. Content can be in the form of blogging and also content which are used in marketing messages. These are certain things that you need to take care of while you create your content. So the first thing is it should be unique and fresh, as Google heavily penalizes copy-paste stuffs. Second is you need to do thorough keyword research and include your targeted keywords in your content in a density of not more than 1 to 2%. So remember, you do not overstuff for your keywords. The third important thing that you need to take care while creating a content is always create content which is targeted at your relevant audience. This will help you generate highly relevant intent leads organically. Do not create any random content or movies, etc. All these topics unless and until you are in the entertainment industry. So next, when it comes to any marketing message content, remember to keep it crisp and to the point to catch the attention of the potential customer in the first impression itself. In today's world, people generally do not have much attention span that they can spare for any marketing ad. So it becomes the onus of the marketer to create such piece of content which can get the customers hooked at the first impression itself. So this type of content can have basically three attributes to it, which are hook, body, and CTA. So hook is the first line of the content to essentially catch the attention of your customer. So next is body of the content, which is basically to convey the USP or brand value proposition of your product. The last component of your content should be CTA, which is a specific action that you want the user to take after going through your marketing message content. It can be to purchase the product, visit your website, fill a lead form, or anything. So now coming to the next point, which is the other aspect of SEO, that is backlinks. For a basic understanding, a backlink is created when any site links to your site or gives reference of your site in any of their content. An easy example to understand is Wikipedia, which provides reference of lots of sites in their content. And thus, backlinks are created for all the cited sites. So always remember to try to get backlinks from high quality sites with higher domain authority which are relevant to your business or industry. I'm not delving much into this topic as it is quite vast in itself. But remember, one important thing that you need to remember and execute is to always carry out intense competitor research to understand the sources from where your competitors are drawing traffic from, and also sources from where they're able to generate backlinks. There are some paid tools like SEMrush, Href, which can help you carry out this analysis. If you want to delve much into deep about your competitors, where your competitors are getting the backlinks and all those stuff from, so you can use these paid tools as well if you want to get into more detail. So now, having covered a lot of theoretical aspects till now, I'll now tell you about 3 examples of practical growth hacks which I have actually uncovered from some of my hands-on experiences. These are some of the tricks and techniques which have worked well for me. So the first example is of Facebook ads. So though Facebook provides you the option to target audience set by demographic, interests, or behavioral attributes, the best means of targeting which I have found over the years is targeting by custom audience feature. Email addresses and phone numbers are the most common attributes on the basis of which Facebook builds the custom audience lists. If you have the email ID or phone numbers of your target segments, you can upload the audience on Facebook, and Facebook will enable you to target specifically these people through custom audience targeted ads. So the beauty about this feature is you make sure you showcase your ads to only the relevant audience set instead of wasting your marketing dollars on any random audience. It's a direct laser swipe approach, given the fact that you have done your homework well when it comes to building relevant audience. So now, once you have your custom audience ready and you select them as your targeted audience set for your ad, so do not forget to add your already existing customers and users whom you do not want to target in the exclude audience list. So Facebook ad do provide you an option to also add a exclude list in which you can add the users and customers who are already using a product, right? The reason is very simple, not to waste marketing dollars on acquiring customers who are already using a product. This segment needs to be engaged through by other means rather than customer acquisition marketing ads. So the most appealing ad format which I have found on Facebook over the years are the carousel ads. So going by my personal experience, carousel ads targeted at customer audience with an exclude audience list is a lethal combo when it comes to optimized ad with a very high conversion rate. It's important to add and mention about product USPs or unique selling points or value proposition in coherence in various frames of the carousel ads. In this slide, I'll show you about a couple of examples of carousel ads. The first example is of Food Panda, where they are basically showcasing their different products in different frames. And the second example is a ad that we had used in our company Square Ads, in which you can showcase the different attributes or product offerings in different frames of the carousel ads. So these are a couple of examples in which you can create good, highly potent carousel ads which are targeted at your customers' customized audience. So now coming to the second example, which is basically Play Store remarketing. So this is the next growth hack I'm going to talk about. We had briefly discussed about remarketing ads in Google in the earlier slides. The way you can target any individual through remarketing is by placing a remarketing tag or cookie on your web page. Any visitor who lands on your page can be targeted by building remarketing audience on Google by the cookie feature. So now say your product is an app. Google Play Store won't allow you to place a cookie in order to tap the set of customers who had clicked on the install button to Play Store page but had not downloaded the app or had dropped off midway. This is essentially because Play Store is a Google owned page and not your personal web page or something. So in order to tap this segment, you can do a little hack. The first step, you have to place the remarketing cookie on a third-party page. In the next step, you can create a link which first takes you to the third-party page, and anyone who lands on that page gets redirected to the app page, to your web page on Play Store. The final step is to propagate the link using SMS and Facebook marketing channels. So in this way, you can ensure that you build on your remarketing audience due to cookie placement on the third-party page and subsequent redirection to Play Store for anyone who clicks on the link. This is how you can basically implement remarketing on Play Store for any app-based product and not get limited by remarketing which is not allowed on Play Store. The final growth hack that I'm going to talk about in this session is about SMS. So though it may sound strange, but simple medium like SMS can be a highly potent medium when it comes to user acquisitions. So if you take care of a certain few facts, then SMS can be a highly potent medium for you in order to acquire users. So I believe it is a very highly underrated and ignored medium. There are certain things that you need to take care of to make this medium highly potent. First and foremost is content of your text message remains the key. Some tips for generating appealing content on text messages are: you have to create your message crisp. You have to make your message crisp and to the point by including a hook and CTA. Hypothetically, energy should be oozing out of your words and the reader should feel it. It cannot be a dull, mundane message, as nobody really cares to reach the CTA stage for this kind of messages. You can also add line breakers in the message to add more clarity to the message. Also, what you can do is you can experiment and play around with content to identify the communication which is striking a chord with your customer. Once you are able to identify it, you have to make sure you double down on it. You can use numbers and stats wherever you can. This will make your messaging powerful. Next aspect to take care of about is sender ID. Well, sender ID is something you can play around with for acquiring customers effectively. Many times organizations prefer to use a standard sender ID to communicate their messages. Well, when it comes to conveying any particular message or info to your existing customer base, then this practice of standard sender ID is sound. But when it comes to new customer acquisitions, I recommend you to create and try out and experiment with sender IDs. So you have to make sure that the sender ID you are creating is really appealing to your customer base. Some examples of appealing 6-letter sender ID can be clients, leads, customers, deals. So this can vary from industry to industry depending on the target segment. Also, trying out different sender IDs will ensure that you are not spamming your audience base with messages piling on a single thread. So coming to the last point, you have to also keep in mind that you do not go overboard with the SMSs, as this can be spammy. You have to make sure that you are regularly switching between the audiences to ensure a particular individual is not getting your messages too often. So this is about the growth hacks that you can apply in the SMS medium. So in this slide, I'll brief you a bit about some of the free tools which are offered by Google, which every early stage startup should make use of. The first tool that I'm going to talk about is Google Analytics. Many of you might be already aware about, but still I would try to convey you the importance of Google Analytics, which is important for tracking and reporting website traffic. And all your decisions should be data driven. So it is important to track the sources from your traffic, where your traffic is coming from. You have to track all the sources. And also to identify which strategies are working for you when it comes to drawing organic traffic via SEO and all other useful insights. Google Analytics is a must. The next tool that every startup, early stage startup should have in its kitty is Google Search Console. Search Console is useful for tracking your site's search performance and optimizing for SEO. The next tool is Google My Business. This is useful for promoting your business for free on Google and tapping into key Google search keywords. You can optimize your Google business page name to also draw maximum traffic. Final tool that I'm going to advocate early stage startups to activate is Google Keyword Planner. Keyword Planner is used to carry out intensive keyword research to identify the keywords that you need to target to maximize your website traffic. This tool is available in Google AdWords account, and Google AdWords account is basically used to run ads. Now coming to the final topic of the session, which is basically catching the eye of the VCs, which are venture capitalists. Now let's imagine that you have done all the hard work in the right way to power your startup from 1 to 1 million user stage. So what next? Now you need fresh capital to scale your startup further and take it to 1 billion valuation, unless and until you are determined and intend to remain bootstrapped. Well, remaining bootstrap is the best possible thing that you can really undertake, as you do not really need to dilute your equity. But for all practical purposes, for giving shape to your vision and building an unicorn, most of the startup founders do seek out VC funded capital. Now that you have decided that you need capital, so what next? You have to now compete with thousands of founders like you who are actively chasing out the VCs. You need to stand apart from the crowd with a superior product. Your product should be the game changer to help you outcompete all your competitors around. Apart from a superior product, you need to have a compelling story of your startup journey. Few pointers that you need to take into account while building up a compelling story are basically, what was the idea for the startup? Which specific problem are you trying to solve? What have you done to solve the problem? Basically, it can be your startup journey. Usual problems you have solved till now. What is the next problem you intend to solve by your product? How do you intend to solve the problem? What will be your approach? What are your expansion plans? Your story needs to be heavily supported by your growth metrics. Remember, numbers are really crucial to back your story. Do not use the power of media. Do use the power of media to propagate your story to the world. Do some PR, share some articles on social media, jot down some blog articles, and you have to do it consistently for some time. You can also try to arrange for a database of journalists and media persons and target them specifically on Facebook and Google by showcasing your articles. So all this has to be done on a consistent basis when we are targeting these people on different media channels and showcasing them your story, which are backed by strong growth metrics. Now that you have all the checklists in place, you can expect some inbound queries and interest from VCs. Ideally, you should not be chasing them, but it should be the other way around. And once it starts happening, you are well on your way to multiply your startup valuations. Well, this is my first book on growth hacking that I had penned down just recently, which talks about some of the practical growth hacks. It's a handbook for some of the practical growth hacks based on my experiences of working with startups over the years. It is available on Amazon Kindle. The paperback edition is only available on Western markets. So anyone who's interested on practical growth hacks, they can have a look. It's available on Amazon Kindle. So with that, I end my presentation, and so I can basically, I think the next 10-15 minutes we can take some queries that anyone has. What do you? I'll just stop my sharing screen and over to you, Dhara.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful presentation on the various growth hacks that the startups and innovators can use to reach their customers and VCs and the market. There are a few questions coming up from our early stage startups that in the initial stages, what branding or advertising strategy should they use?
Okay. So For early stage startups, the budget is a bit of constraint over here. You cannot go on a high spending spree as budget is highly constrained for early stage startups. So what you can do is basically start experimenting and piloting with low cost mediums. One of the low cost mediums can be SMSs and emails. So you do not need to start out with a high fancy Google or Facebook ad or do some PR campaigns while you are starting up. But a very low cost effective medium can be SMS. Then there is email you can explore. All these mediums you can explore when it comes to paid strategy. Also, what you can do is you can also explore some free mediums. When I say free mediums, there are a lot of avenues which are available for free on the internet space. Like, for example, it can be Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups. All these groups are there. WhatsApp groups, you can get into WhatsApp groups which are relevant to your business, and that you have to do it in a very very intelligent way so that you do not really spam, but you convey your message in a very potent and in a crisp manner. You are basically adding some value for the target segment. If you are adding value for the target segment, then it should not be considered as a spam. So mix of cost effective paid mediums and some organic mediums which are free. This should be the strategy when it comes to early stage startups to tap the target segment.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So one question coming up is that how should the startups decide on what social media platform should they use for promoting their business, and whether LinkedIn is a better option compared to Instagram and Facebook, since it is a more professional network and the reach is organic.
Right. So when it comes to different marketing avenues and social media channels, so like I said, there is no one size that fits all. So it depends on businesses to businesses. Like if your business is a B2B business, then LinkedIn makes more LinkedIn is of more importance to you than Facebook. And so LinkedIn में क्या है कि मतलब you can find people, you can easily target people who are your audience, who are your target segment if you are a B2B business. But when it comes to B2C, Facebook is a better medium. क्योंकि वहाँ पे you can target मतलब everyone. Your target segment becomes broad when it is a B2C product, and your target segment is limited or gets constrained when it is a B2B product. So LinkedIn is something which can work out well for B2B products, whereas Facebook and Google, all this can work out well if your product is a B2C product. So you have to basically, there is no straightforward playbook that every organization or startup can replicate when it comes to what is the right marketing channel or avenue which is best suited for our business, right? So you have to remember, you have to do a lot of experiments, try out pilots, कुछ SMS campaign करो, कुछ email campaign करो, कुछ चीजें आप Facebook ad में low cost Facebook ad में आप डाल के कुछ carousel type के ads चलाओ, customize audience चढ़ाओ उस पे, इस तरीके के आपने टारगेट किया फेसबुक पे, गूगल पे कुछ एक्सपेरिमेंट किया, फिर देन फॉर ऑल द मार्केटिंग चैनल्स आप फिर कैलकुलेट करो कि उसका मतलब व्हाट इज द कॉस्ट पर एक्विजिशन पर चैनल वी आर गेटिंग एंड किसका एफिशिएंसी इज द हाईएस्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ इन कंपैरिजन टू डिफरेंट चैनल्स, किसका एफिशिएंसी इज द बेस्ट, then you can double down on the channel and pick those channels and live apart and get rid of the rest. ठीक है? So LinkedIn is a very costly channel as compared to Facebook, but if your business is B2B, then आप LinkedIn use कर सकते हो. You can do one thing in LinkedIn is आप अपने टारगेट सेगमेंट में आपका अगर बिजनेस कोई पर्टिकुलर मतलब मान लीजिए आपका बिजनेस दिस इज इनटू रियल एस्टेट बिजनेस, सो you can target your customer base. कौन हो सकता है वहाँ पे, the people who are the product you are selling, वो कौन लोग हैं आपके इंडस्ट्री के, who are your target segments. मान लीजिए आपके रियल एस्टेट सेगमेंट में there are builders whom you can target on LinkedIn, तो आप जितने भी बिल्डर्स हैं you can reach out to them. ठीक है? अगर आप एड चलाना चाहते हैं LinkedIn पे, you can run your ads on LinkedIn. This is a paid tool, but when it comes to organically or free medium, you can reach out to people on LinkedIn. You can basically find people who are from your industry or can be your target segment, and can reach out to them on one-to-one messages. And you can also basically always remember to keep your messages crisp, to the point, and targeted. ठीक है, नहीं तो otherwise people will skip your message and won't reach to the CTA stage, which is the final component and the most important component of your message. तो आप उनको one to one reach out करो, उनको messages करो. So these are something which you can do when it comes to early stage startups.
Thank you, sir. I hope the doubts were cleared. We had one more question which was already answered, like for a manufacturing startup, what social media platform should they use? But I believe it is already covered in this. The other question is that content is the most important part, as you said, be it any platform.
Right,
so for
right,
early stage startup, should they have their own in-house team or should they outsource it? What should be the strategy that they use for a startup?
When you are starting up, तो आप early stage अगर आप start कर रहे हो, then it doesn't make sense to have a content team in place, because आप छोटे हो, आपके पास budget constraints हैं. So आप क्या कर सकते हो, you can outsource this piece. बहुत सारे content marketing agencies हैं whom you can outsource. Basically they will charge you on the basis of cost per word. एक word के basis में 50 पैसा, 1 rupee ऐसा कुछ charge होता है. So you can basically outsource your content piece, but आपको उनको एक guideline देना पड़ेगा based on क्या मतलब what should be the best practices that you have to follow in order to write your content. आपका कंटेंट इन डेप्थ होना चाहिए, उसमें क्या है कि SEO ऑप्टिमाइज्ड होना चाहिए. मैंने इसे SEO ऑप्टिमाइज्ड, उसमें बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. मतलब बेसिकली आपका जो फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ है उसमें आपका टारगेटेड कीवर्ड, पहले तो आपको रिसर्च करना पड़ेगा कि आपके टारगेटेड कीवर्ड कौन कौन से हैं जिनको आप टारगेट करना चाहते हो. आफ्टर यू डू ए थॉरो टारगेटेड कीवर्ड रिसर्च, फिर आप डिसाइड करोगे कि उस कीवर्ड को टारगेट करके मैं क्या आर्टिकल लिखना चाहता हूँ. फिर once you decide on the article that you want to write, टॉपिक डिसाइड करते हो, then what you do is कि आप फिर उसका जो मेटा डिस्क्रिप्शन है उसमें आप इंश्योर करते हो कि आपका कीवर्ड मेटा डिस्क्रिप्शन doesn't exceed 180 words, एंड उसमें आपका मेटा डिस्क्रिप्शन में आपका कीवर्ड आ रहा है. फिर आपके पहले पैराग्राफ में आपका कीवर्ड आना चाहिए, आपका कीवर्ड स्टफिंग नहीं होना चाहिए, 1 to 2% होना चाहिए. ये सब चीजें हैं that you need to take into account while jotting down a content. ठीक है, आर्टिकल पीस आप लिख रहे हो तो मिनिमम 1000 वर्ड का होना चाहिए, इट शुड बी डेप्थ, यूनिक होना चाहिए कंटेंट. ये सारा गाइडलाइंस आपको देना पड़ेगा एजेंसी को, बिकॉज एजेंसी क्या करेंगे कि मतलब बेसिकली कहीं से भी कॉपी पेस्ट मार के आपको चिपका देंगे. मतलब दैट इज बेसिकली समथिंग दैट शुड नॉट बी एनकरेज. दिस प्रैक्टिस शुड नॉट बी एनकरेज, द कॉपी पेस्ट स्टफ, बिकॉज गूगल विल हेवीली पेनलाइज यू इन दैट केस. सो व्हाट यू कैन डू इज कि आप उनको एक स्ट्रिक्ट गाइडलाइन दो कि these are the best practices that you need to follow. उसके बेसिस पे you have to adhere to these guidelines, and once they generate the content, you have to basically ensure कि आपको चेक करना पड़ेगा कि all the pointers that you have given to the outsourced agency, आप उसको basically they have kept into basically they have implemented it in their content piece. ये आपको monitor करना पड़ेगा, otherwise it will be a futile exercise. पैसा भी खर्च कर रहे हो and you won't be getting the desired result. राइट. तो ये सारी चीजें आपको ध्यान रखनी पड़ेगी. आप भले आउटसोर्स करो स्टार्टिंग, बट गिव देम अ स्ट्रिक्ट गाइडलाइन, एंड वापस जब वो आपको कंटेंट देते हैं वापस, देन यू हैव टू मॉनिटर इट एंड यू हैव टू इंश्योर कि दे मीट द गाइडलाइंस. ठीक है, बट हाँ मतलब वंस यू पास दैट स्टेज, आप मान लो कि आपने एक स्टेज पार कर लिया, आपका मतलब यू ग्रो बिगर, एंड आप मान लो आपको सीरीज में फंडिंग आपको मिल गया, then you can have an in-house content team जिसपे आपका basically control ज्यादा रहेगा and you can monitor them more better. You have a content team, particularly मतलब basically a in-house content team in place once you have grown to a bigger stage. I hope I was clear.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So apart from these Facebook and other marketing strategies, how good is podcasting as a strategy for startups?
Pardon?
How good is podcasting as a strategy for startups to reach their target audience?
ठीक है, forecasting when it comes to forecasting, this is basically आइडेंटिफाइंग, मतलब ये होना चाहिए कि आपका स्टार्टअप हो गया फिर आप फोरकास्ट कर रहे हो, वो नहीं होना चाहिए। बिकॉज बिफोर एंटरिंग इनटू ए मार्केट सेगमेंट, आप अगर कोई भी इंडस्ट्री में एंटर कर रहे हो या फिर आप कोई भी मार्केट एंटर कर रहे हो, यू हैव टू बेसिकली आइडेंटिफाई द पोटेंशियल ऑफ दैट मार्केट। ये पोटेंशियल आपको आइडेंटिफाई करना पड़ेगा कि कितना इस मार्केट में कितना दम है। देन वंस यू आइडेंटिफाई, यू डिसाइड टू वेंचर इनटू दैट मार्केट। एक बार आपने वेंचर किया, मार्केट में अंदर गए, देन इतना मार्केट सेगमेंट है टोटल, कितना परसेंटेज ऑफ मार्केट सेगमेंट दैट आई कैन बेसिकली रियलिस्टिकली एक्सपेक्ट टू कैप्चर इन द नेक्स्ट 6 months। ये आपको फोरकास्ट करना पड़ेगा कि हाँ, मतलब मैं बेसिकली अगर 6 महीने में इतना मार्केट सेगमेंट कैप करता हूँ, तो दिस इज द बिजनेस रेवेन्यू दैट आई विल बी गेटिंग, एंड मेरा खर्चा कितना है, व्हाट आर द कॉस्ट, एंड दिस इफ आई एम सक्सेसफुल टू कैप certain x amount of, मान लो 2% of the market segment, then what is the business that I am getting from that market segment? उस basis में you will be able to judge कि कितना gap है between the cost that you are incurring and the revenue that you are getting. So this is forecasting, it's an ongoing thing। मतलब आपने पहले हाँ टारगेट किया 6 महीने में मैं 2% टारगेट करूंगा, कैप्चर करूंगा, फिर आपने 2% आपने कैप्चर कर लिया, फिर नेक्स्ट 4% कैसे बढ़ूंगा, मतलब हाउ कैन आई स्केल फर्दर। तो ये स्केलिंग अप जो है कंटिन्यूअस एक्सरसाइज, एंड आपने मान लो कि एक बार नंबर 1 यू बिकम द नंबर ऑफ इन योर इंडस्ट्री एंड कैप्चर नियरली 15% ऑफ द मार्केट शेयर, बट दैट डजंट मीन कि आप वहां पे बैठ जाओगे एंड यू रिलैक्स एंड बी कॉम्प्लिसेंट ओवर देयर। बिकॉज आज के डेट में जितने मतलब लाइक स्टार्टअप्स है, सो हाई पोटेंट स्टार्टअप्स व्हिच आर ब्लूमिंग अप nearly every single day. So no one is safe over here. I have seen lots of Davids taking on Goliaths. So you cannot be complacent, and you have to scale up, forecast karo, scale karo, बढ़ते रहो। बस it's an ongoing exercise. It's an ongoing, the wheel of innovation needs to keep turning year on year and month on month. There's no static step to it.
Thank you so much, sir. So we have a question from the Zoom audience that they want to know your experience when you decided to change your marketing strategy and that was very effective for your startup or for the growth of your startup. If you share some of your experiences.
पहले जो था ना, मतलब बेसिकली it was something कि हमने when we started up, I will talk about my experience in FastFox. So basically I was a founding member at startup and we got acquired last year. So while we started up, तो उस टाइम पे हमने हम पहले क्या करते थे कि there are some certain features in digital medium in which you can target people by custom audience feature। मतलब जैसे मैंने I told in my presentation, you can target people in Facebook as well as in Google and custom audience feature। Custom audience feature में क्या होता है कि आप basically you upload data set of your target segment। It can be phone numbers, emails, and all this stuff। So we when we started up, our product was an app which was an app by the name of Broex, which was an app for real estate brokers to collaborate among themselves। तो ये ऐप जो था ये ब्रोकर्स को टारगेटेड था। एंड when we were starting up, हमने फिर क्या किया था, we in order to target these brokers on different mediums, on SMS and emails and Facebook, Google, हमने फिर we purchased some data from the vendors। ठीक है, तो vendors से हमने database, जो बहुत सारे database वाली companies हैं, we approached them and took the data from real estate agents। बट हमने क्या किया, हमने we realized कि ये जो डेटा हम लोग लेते हैं database vendors से and the data we had purchased from the market, these are not effective, क्योंकि वो आपको 10% 20% तो ऑथेंटिक डेटा देंगे, बाकी 70-80% विल बी गार्बेज। सो दैट्स व्हाट वी रियलाइज कि अगर इस डेटा के भरोसे हम लोग रहेंगे एंड रन करेंगे, if we run our ads on basis of that data, we won't be able to scale up। So that was something when we started exploring ways in which we can basically we tied up with real estate brands। बहुत सारे हम लोग बहुत सारे Remax इस तरीके से बहुत सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं जो रियल एस्टेट फील्ड में हैं। हमने उनको बताया what we told them about their value proposition and किस तरीके से ये ऐप वो लोग यूज करके they can be benefited। and इस तरीके से while we scaled up our partnerships, and basically we started telling organizations about how effective we can add, what is the value addition we can add in their business. They started sharing the basically the members set, जितने भी उनके members थे and representatives थे, they not only promoted our app within their organizations, but also उनका जो members का जो data set था, they started basically sharing with us after we gave them the confidence that this is something that is going to add value in their lives. फिर उसके बाद once we got the required data sets, we started basically conveying our message in a very highly potent way using Facebook carousel ads, Google targeted customized ads. ये सब करके फिर और SMS से फिर हमने उनको हमारा मैसेज कन्वे किया कि how we can add value in their businesses. So this was something that we had done at the early stage, and we were very successful in implementing it and scaling up from. So one of the reasons that the slide mentions about 1 to 110 to the power 6 stage is basically I'm talking about one से फिर हम लोग 1 million is user stage जो पहुंचे. This was a very critical component of it, identifying and basically getting the right set of data of the people that you are targeting. बहुत सारी तरीके हैं, काफी सारे तरीके हैं जिसमें मतलब because of paucity of time I am not able to share over here on this medium, but this is one of the ways in which you can get data. और भी बहुत सारी तरीके हैं, वो that is part of the growth hacking process. आपको growth hack करना पड़ेगा, figure out करना पड़ेगा कहाँ पे है, Google सर्च करो आप, बहुत सारी जगह मिलेगा, Facebook ग्रुप्स में मिलेगा आपको लोगों का मतलब जो भी टारगेट सेगमेंट, LinkedIn पे आप रीच आउट कर सकते हो लोगों को. उस तरीके से बहुत सारी चीजें आप कर सकते हो. गूगल पे सर्च करो, आपको बहुत सारी चीजें मिलेंगे which can be your target segment. फिर उनको कैसे आप रीच आउट कर सकते हो, वो ग्रोथ हैक आपको करना पड़ेगा. So this is something that we had done in our startup.